How's it going, guys? And welcome to Billy the Batboy's Corner, presented by Up On Game. I'm Billy Pinckney, and today we have an exciting episode for you as we discuss some baseball with Drew Rom, Baltimore Orioles' top pitching prospect. He's done a great job in their farm system and is looking to break through into the big leagues in 2023. We're going to take a look at his season, things that he learned, what he's working on mechanically, and what message he has for the younger athletes out there. So without further ado, let's bring up the interview with Drew Rom. All right, guys, we're here alongside Drew Rom, Baltimore Orioles prospect. Drew, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Billy, for having me back. Looking forward to it. How's everything going for you?
Things are going well, but man, it was awesome to see you back during the season. Finally got to meet you in person, playing in Double-A in Somerset, the Yankees affiliate, while playing for the Orioles Double-A in Bowie. Great season for you, too. I mean, it was exciting to see you pitch and do your thing. I mean, can you take us through your season and how much of a year of growth it was for you?
This season was kind of like an eye-opener for me because I got to experience kind of like the Double-A side, so like kind of like all the prospect life, to where like everyone down there is pretty similar skilled, right. And then go up to Triple-A and then see like guys who've been in the show for X number of years or whatever, and then just have to compete against them, and it's just like two completely different kind of mindsets you have to take in because like the prospects, they're still going to be like kind of swing heavy and kind of look for just kind of their pitch just to pull and just like hit a home run. But like all the big league guys, like they look for their specific pitch, and like they're so much harder to get out because of their approach on two strikes. Right. So I mean, this season was definitely tough, but honestly for me, it was a great learning experience just trying to get ready for next year.
Right, and it seems like a tough thing to do, especially when you go up there to AAA, is to deal with hitters who have great plate discipline, who are really looking for that pitch, as you mentioned, and that could also contribute to walking guys. I mean, how hard do you think it is to, command the zone and throw strikes, but at the same time not giving them that pitch to hit, and they could really barrel up?
Yeah, I mean, like, my first outing was, like, I had a lot of strikeouts, but I also had a lot of walks, so I think that was kind of like a great introductory start to me because it kind of taught me, okay, like these guys aren't going to swing at everything. Like they're going to be patient, but like I can still use all my pitches to get strikeouts, but I have to be in the zone a lot more with everything. So like that was just kind of really like a really good wake up call for kind of what I needed to start focusing on, and just kind of keep going with that mindset for just kind of next year because I know it's just going to keep getting tougher and tougher. Yeah. And the hitters are just going to keep getting better and better. So, I mean, you just got to kind of adapt to that and just figure out how to get your outs kind of like up at the upper level.
Do you think it could sometimes be a psychological thing where you might not want to throw that ball in a certain spot because you think that, hey, where I'm at a higher level now, they might be swinging at that one and doing some damage?
Yeah, so that was kind of my biggest worry was like in my first outing, I was trying to be like too fine with everything and really just try to paint every single corner and not really try to like throw it through the zone, but try to throw it through the spot. So like I had some success doing that, but I think once I realized like, hey, I need to throw it through the zone because like that's when my pitch should be better, and then that's when I'm going to have a little bit more of like, I guess, room for error because like they're going to be a little bit sharper, a little bit better pitches. So I think for me, it was just kind of focusing on really throwing my pitches to where my strengths were and then just trying to get them out against their strengths.
And while you're in the minor leagues, you're going to be playing with some guys who come down for rehab assignments. And John Means was some guy who, lefty pitcher like yourself, similar type guy right there. What can you say about what he was able to do to help you out, especially with that changeup?
Well, I mean, I think I've preached it many times on multiple interviews that, like, he's kind of really helped me with my changeup. And, like, that was just kind of a guy that, like, it was my first, or I guess it was my second full season, but it was like kind of like the first season where I actually started meeting people who had been through it and like started doing like meeting people who had been through like rehab assignments. So for me to like meet Means, who was an all-star, like, I mean, could have been a Cy Young guy. I mean, shoot. But yeah, to meet him and like kind of have him be like really down to earth and like actually be able to help me out was just kind of like a really big stepping stone for me, just to like know that like all these guys are like super approachable and they're there to help you out. and they're not going to shy away from like talking to you or like even like showing you a grip or something.
Did you feel confident enough to throw that pitch in game this year?
Yeah, no, I definitely in AAA a little bit more. I don't know why, but for some reason I always have more confidence throwing my changeup with a big league ball. Just I honestly couldn't tell you the reason why because like everyone says that's so backwards. I definitely utilize it a little bit more, but for me, this offseason is really gonna be huge on kind of being able to throw that pitch in any count.
Did you see a big difference in that big league ball in AAA compared to the standard minor league baseball in AA?
Personally, I like it more.
Okay.
Just because it spins truer and like you don't really have to worry about any scuffs or any like any like irregularities between the balls because like they're all like basically they're all the same ball throughout. And for me, like that was just kind of like a really nice thing, not have to worry about like having to grip like a different ball every time I got a new one.
Right. Right.
So, and like I just found that a lot. Like if you threw it well, it was gonna be really good. If you threw it poorly, like it was gonna be bad. That was kind of like the biggest thing for me was just figuring out what rib and how much pressure I had to apply on each seam because it is like throwing a cue ball, as they all say. Yeah. So you just have to kind of find what works for you.
Were there other guys up there in AAA who kind of showed you, hey, this is how this works now with this ball and what it does?
Yeah, so Blaine Knight was probably the first one to tell me that, and that was in spring training. He said, so something along the lines like I don't remember the quote, but he said in AAA, like with the big league balls, you can't really you can't throw get me overs because if you throw get me overs, they're gonna fly out of your hand. They're not gonna be great at all. So he said like every pitch you have to throw it 100%, or else it's just not gonna be good. It's either gonna be hit a mile or it's just not gonna spin out and it's just gonna be a ball. So I mean, he said you have to throw every pitch with that intent to throw it your best pitch.
Were you able to take a lot away from the pitching coaches down there this year?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I know Kame was with me for AA, and he was with me in high in Aberdeen. And so, like, he kind of knew me starting off, which was really nice because we were just able to get back to some, like, the same old things that we were working with last year just to really try to get better and better at it. And that was kind of big to start off because it was nice to really get that foundation under me. And then once I get up to AAA, I mean, I've had Ramsey for, like, every single year except rookie ball. So for him to be up there was just really nice. And it was just really nice for me to feel comfortable up there with everyone. So, that was a big point. And then he was, like, really kind of like the forerunner on teaching me how to throw to, like, the AAA hitters up there along with, like, some of the other pitchers. But Ramsey was, like, the guy who sat down and, like, taught me, hey, this is what you're going to do in AAA compared to what you did in AA.
Yeah, I remember when I watched you down there in AA, you had a great breaking ball. It's probably one of your best pitches, right? Is that your out pitch?
Yeah, I mean, it eventually turned into my slider ended up being my out pitch, and that was just kind of something I learned to have to, like, develop and tweak because we needed to see more difference between my slider and my curveball. So that was really nice to actually find that this year, and it ended up being a really, really good pitch for me.
Have you been messing with different slots?
Yeah, so it kind of all started back in, I think it was 20. I don't even remember when it was, but it was after, it might have been 2019 Instructs. So it was when Chris Holt and me were talking because the whole 2019 season, like after a start, I would always just drop down and throw like basically sidearm because it just felt natural to me, and it just like loosened up my arm. So we just kind of experimented with that, and for me, it's really been a big addition to my repertoire to have that extra addition, to have something to, if my mechanics aren't working, to have that to like kind of really get me back to focus. Right. So for me, like that was a really big addition to have an extra two weapons and to really have something to get me back to kind of what I needed to focus on for my mechanics if I ever felt a whacking game.
Right. Would you typically go to that release point when you're maybe ahead in the count rather than behind?
Honestly, I really like it behind in the count because, like, especially on like 2-0 or something, like they're looking for a cookie cutter fastball. So, I mean, if you throw something from the side, like they're going to see fastball, but they end up grounding out a lot.
Right.
So for me, that was kind of like a really big thing that especially in AAA, I learned that a lot was they were just kind of like ambushing that 2-0 pitch. So for me, like that was big because like they all thought I was young and was going to throw you a cookie cutter pitch. But I mean, once you get up there, you have to learn pretty quick.
I mean, you've been working with the catchers a lot too. How often would you say you shake them off? Are those pitches coming from them or the dugout? How did they work that with the Orioles?
So everything's through our catchers, and honestly, I don't shake off a lot because they have everything that they need to know on their wrist, like every single other catcher in every other organization. So you might as well just go with what they're telling you because they got it. So, and for me, it's just kind of more like a confidence thing. Like, hey, if they see this or see that or see that, then yeah, let's go with it. But I mean, occasionally I'll shake off if I really feel confident, like one pitch in one certain situation. Other than that, not really.
And you let that be up to them when it comes to sequencing and later on in the game when maybe the hitters have seen you a time or two around in the order, you let them decide, hey, we're going to approach them this way, this at bat.
Yeah, and we also kind of talk about that in between innings a lot too. We just always kind of come in and just like give like a quick little recap. So then like after the recap, we'll talk about like, hey, did you see anything there? Like, do you think they're gonna expect anything different? And just kind of like that general idea type stuff. But I mean, other than that, it's just kind of adapting to what we see every pitch.
I mean, we see teams a lot like the Yankees who are very analytically heavy. What would you say the Orioles are when it comes to analytics?
I mean, yeah, we're right up there with them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean everything we do has a purpose, and everything we do is backed by data.
Right.
And I mean, as you can see, it's been working out for us because I mean, our big league team increased in wins by a lot for compared to what was it like 30 wins or something.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so whatever we're doing is paying off. So
Right. Yeah, I was going to mention too the Orioles and what they've been doing at the big league level, really impressing a lot of people, and they really didn't have high expectations going into the season, but to finish above 500 and in contention for a wild card spot, what makes them so exciting in your opinion?
we're all so young. Like everyone on the team, for the most part, is like under like what 27.
Yeah.
So I mean, to have that kind of that experience at that age already, I mean, it's just kind of really going to be eye opening. I think in the next couple of years, what we do with that kind of like that young experience, kind of young players, and kind of how they turn into veterans and kind of help us develop too. I think is really going to be the big thing because like they were in our shoes not too long ago, and they want to see everyone win. So I think that's a big thing for us is just kind of having people who were just in our shoes a couple years ago kind of help us through every situation.
Did the Orioles have any conversations with you after the season saying, hey, this is how we're possibly looking at you to be a part of this next year?
That's not for me to say publicly, so I mean I'm going to keep that one to myself. But yeah, I mean we've had some conversations, and I mean I'm at a really good spot, and I really like my spot in the organization. So I mean, if it happens next year, it happens. So I'm looking forward to next year and kind of seeing what it brings.
So going into this off season, we're about a month in or so. What would you say are some things that you're really looking to hone in on and focus on coming into 23?
Just kind of finding that repetition and that I've been searching for years, because I think we finally started to find it towards the end of the year in AAA and kind of towards the end in AA. And I think that is going to be like the kind of the biggest stepping stone for me is kind of figuring out how I can repeat it every single time. And I think from there, it'll just help me out in the long run and just make me just kind of a better pitcher and have more command and everything. Eventually, like I do want to put on velo, so like that's also going to be a part of my off season too. Is just lifting heavy and just kind of put on a lot of strength. So
how difficult would you think it is to throw harder, but then at the same time command the zone as well?
I think it has to be some type of give and take. So I mean, there are dudes who, I mean, obviously come in and can throw 100, but they don't know where it's going. So if you back them off to like 95, 97, they can throw a strike. That's way more effective than 100 and wild. So for me, I've always been a command pitcher, so like I'm not going to sacrifice really that much of my game to try to search for something. I'm still going to just kind of be myself. But if the velo happens through either my weights or some exercises or some mechanical fixes, then it happens. If not, then I'm just going to keep getting better at what I got.
Good stuff. I do want to wrap up with a few fun ones. And I got to talk about any bus ride stories this year. Any fun moments that you guys had there in AA or AAA?
I mean, not too many. I mean, for the most part, our bus rides were like kind of really relaxed because it was obviously on a Monday or a Tuesday morning, so we all just were like sleeping for the most part. I mean, probably the one I can remember is probably Binghamton, and that was just because we left right after the game and we were home by the end of the night. And, like, we were just all kind of rowdy after the game because that was like one of our only 1 o'clock Sunday games we had,
Right.
and we were just happy to be getting out of there because it was snowing. So I think that kind of fueled a little bit like kind of, I don't know, like adrenaline or like intensity towards the end of the game. And
Yeah.
I think it just kind of carried over to the bus because, like, I mean, we were just having a good time and just listening to music and just having fun on the bus. But I mean, for the most part, everyone there is just, we were just kind of relaxing, sleeping or watching Netflix or something.
Yeah, how do you like that schedule format this year with the off day and then pretty much a 6-game homestand?
Personally, I mean, I like it a lot. I just wish there was I just wish you weren't in the same city for like 6 days. But I mean, I do like the Monday off day and having that just to reset every week. Because I mean, 6 days in one city is a lot. Plus, I mean, seeing the same guys, especially if something happens like early in the week, it might fester over into something worse. But I mean, for the most part, I like it a lot. And I mean, I'm just kind of interested to see if we keep going with it or if they see anything that needs to be changed.
To the young pitchers out there, what message would you like to send out to them who are maybe in high school or even college ball? What would you like to send out to them and say, hey, this is something that might help you along the way?
Personally, like, this was always my philosophy: don't chase velo, chase figuring out what you're best at and fine tuning what you're best at, and then figuring out how you can better your game. I mean, do the things that you do well first, and then after that, then you can start expanding a little bit and figuring out what is going to work for you and just kind of what you can implement to better yourself. But for the most part, just do what you do.
Sounds great. Drew, I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you very much. Enjoy the off season, and hopefully we'll see you in Baltimore next season.
Of course. I mean, I really hope so. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
We'd like to thank you for checking out this episode of Billy the Batboy's Corner presented by Up On Game. And it's really exciting to see what Drew's been able to do since our last interview here on the show about a year ago. And he's someone who's definitely going to be a contributor to the Orioles rotation in the near future. Excited to see him hopefully at Camden Yards very, very soon. And if you'd like to learn more about what we're doing here with Billy the Batboy's Corner and Up On Game, be sure to check us out on social media at Billy the Batboy, at Up On Game Network, on YouTube, all these other social media platforms. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and also we're supporting the Father English Center in Paterson, New Jersey, trying to help the young kids out there and also the young ball players. So appreciate your support as always, and we'll see you next time here on the show.